And sometimes fries with gravy, I mean, in a diner can suck, right? I mean, they could burn the gravy. There could be, too much flour. It could be like all sorts of things could make that go wrong. You're a chef, so you know all the things that can go wrong. But when that is right, it's one of the greatest things you could ever eat.
Fade in. Cut two.
Exterior. Interior.
Restaurant?
Bar. Club.
Day.
Night.
Action.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Monis Rose. This is Restaurant Fiction. We review the fictional restaurants, bars, and clubs in TV and film. I've been waiting a long time to release this episode. Who did we talk to today? We talked to legendary showrunner, legendary writer, legendary director, Brian Koppelman. Who is Brian Koppelman? You should know by now. If you don't know by now, get your head out of your butt. Or, using French, get your head out of your ass. Anyway, Brian got his big, huge start writing, or at least co-writing with his partner, David Rounders. He has written a slew of incredible Hollywood, amazing, big films and big TV shows, including what we're primarily going to talk about, Billions. That's right. It was on Showtime. And besides talking about, the hedge fund boys and all of the Wall Street guys, it was about food. That's right. It was about lots and lots of food, including pizza. That's right. You see, pizza is one of those legendary fictional foods and real foods, obviously, but fictional foods in the cinema and TV universe that when you drop pizza in your show or your movie, that means you mean business. And when Brian in the pilot of Billions dropped a fictional pizza parlor, the world knew that it was going to be good. Not just the fictional restaurant, but the entire show. So anyway, Brian also, I'm not going to lie, we listened to his own podcast, The Moment. It has been an influence on us creatively, just even of the wisdom this man has is ongoing and everlasting. To use the surfing metaphors, because, I'm in California. I'm a surfer. No, I'm just joking. But to use the surfing metaphor, it's just an ongoing, amazing swell with him, with an offshore wind, maybe like a 2 mile per hour wind, and wave height maybe like 5 feet. I'm not going for the big ones yet, but anyway, it's steady, it's consistent, and that's what he brings all the time, including this episode. We not only talk about Billions, we not only talk about pizza, we talk about the diner, because if you follow Brian, whether it's on The Moment, whether it's on his own socials, whether it's on one of the podcasts or shows he's been a part of outside of Restaurant Fiction, we talk about the diner because the diner to him is also probably the most quintessential place a human being, or at least especially an American, can eat at. And it's actually one of the best and most beloved fictional restaurants. You'll see why. Pay attention. Escucha me ahora. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to pay attention, but thank you. If or whatever, this could be a background. I don't really care. Just like and subscribe. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the podcast. Here it is. Guys, gals, Brian. Let's break down the New York slice. You see, you live in New York, but let me really put some brevity to it. You see, it's a lot more than just, dough, sauce, lettuce and cheese. And of course, you can argue with the je ne sais quoi elusiveness of the New York water. You see, in the city that you live in, the city that you are in right now, there are a dime a dozen New York pizza makers where the pizza slice is easy. It's just like, here you go, eat. Okay, but then there's Caparello's, and Caparello's does not do easy, it does simple. And you see, there is a big, major difference between easy and simple. You see, do not connect them. They are in, do not, they are to, apples and oranges. You see, simple is the Bruce Lee punch. He does not focus on 1,000 different kicks and punches. No, he masters just one day in and day out, and that is the slice, the pie at
Well,
Caparillo's.
Bruno, in the fictional pizza, you can talk about this two different ways, like the actual pizza place that we shot at, but which is not the same as the pizzeria that Bobby Axelrod goes to, right? So the pizzeria Bobby Axelrod goes to, that Bruno is behind the counter, yeah, that is the platonic ideal of the New York slice, and you're exactly right.
With your creative partner, David, what made you decide to introduce your character, one of your title characters, with Caparello's, with him sitting down, eating the slice? Like of all the choices you have, of the pork buns, of the street hawkers, of the Michelin star, you chose, boom, I want to tell you about my character through the slice.
Well, it's really about the relationships, right? It's that he would go to this. I mean, he says it in the first episode. It's the relationship he had with Bruno, who would let him sometimes not pay, and his friend realizes that Bruno's getting squeezed by somebody. It just seemed like a way to make a character who's not that relatable, right? You can understand Bobby Axelrod because a slice of pizza from when he was a teenager still means something to him, and I think that's how we came to that. But also, I mean, it was 10 years ago. So this is my recollection of it now. A lot of the stuff, I'll say, a lot of the stuff that you do is instinctive and like you can explain it later. I do think that that was something we were aware of, that kind of connection and humanizing aspect. But a lot of this stuff isn't an intellectual exercise. You maybe use your intellect to like learn a bunch of stuff and to follow your curiosity and obsessions. And then when you're doing it, most of the time you're relying on instinct and taste and kind of what feels right more than what you could defend in a thesis talking to some Don at Oxford.
I mean, all right. So, I mean, I know, yeah, it was 10 years ago, but you have a lot of food in your show, okay? I mean, and even with the characters, let's break a few down. Like Wags knows sushi. He knows, when, a dish is hit and miss. You have Rhodes, who loves takeout, who loves a Jewish deli. You even have Connerty, who becomes a hibachi chef at the end of the game. What does food and restaurants say in general of all the characters?
With fictional characters, I think as you make them real in your head in order to write them, and as the actors come and then really make the thing tangible. I mean, I think the way that we eat, the choices we make around food, they're important to us. And it's also a way you can chart your growth, I think. Especially in that world that we're depicting in that show. These are people whose ambition is pretty outsized. And one of the things when you talk to people like that they mention is the ability to be able to go to restaurants. They want to be able to cut the line, get a special table, have the chef say hello, and know that their taste is so good that they're eating at a place that's rarefied and special. Or they might be the kind of person who wants to say, you know what? I'm the kind of person who eats takeout, or I wish I weren't, but I'm giving in to my appetites right now, and I'm gonna slam some Mile End, and beef on whack at Mile End, and some poutine, and so yeah, look, there are various things that reveal character, and certainly a relationship with food is one of them. And I think if you're creating drama, you're constantly availing yourself of those things in order to help you understand the characters and then translate those character arcs to the viewer.
Then let's combine, say, the high hedge fund managers of billions with, the street urchins, if you will, of your characters and rounders. What would be, say, the New York restaurant where it's an even playing field, where we will meet, the underground poker clubs and the worms of the world with the roads and the, axes and all of that.
I mean, I think, you're Chinatown. I mean, everyone goes to Chinatown late at night, right? So everyone goes to Peking Duck House probably on Mott Street. You can see all of them there. Bayard, maybe Bayard and Mott. Just somewhere down there is probably where a bunch of them are. Maybe any of them could get taken to Rayo's on a night. I mean, Axe actually goes. But those poker players could definitely have somebody who knew somebody who could get them a late night table at Rayo's.
I love that. I love that. One last question of billions before we move on, Brian. What was the most fun food scene for you to write of the show?
I will say we loved creating those scenes. Obviously, working on the sushi scene, Wes Jones is a writer of that episode, I think, and certainly wrote that scene. But working on that, plotting out that scene, figuring it out, planning it, shooting it was amazing. Really, because I think we have a lot of sympathy for Wags's point of view, in that you don't eat.
Yeah, you don't just dip the tamago egg that he
It's
spent.
more, don't put the ginger on the piece of sushi. Like, is the thing that first drives him crazy, and but also like we love chefs, right? We have so much respect for these chefs, and so getting David Chang to come be in it, or Ivan Ramen, Ivan Orkin. I mean, there's so many chefs who were on the show, Alex Guarnaschelli, like that was super fun. I mean, all those, I don't want to leave people out, but I mean, those were incredible scenes to think about and write and do.
I love that. I love that. All right. One little commonality I thought. So you have, though, really quick, your character, Brian Connerty,
Yes.
and then you have, and obviously in Billions, but then your main character in your movie Solitary Man, Ben Kalman. You see, both of these characters, I don't know if this was conscious or subconscious, but they have dramatic falls, right? They have falls from grace, if you will, and then they end up working in restaurants. How can the restaurants serve as a symbol of, say, redemption and transformation of characters? Because, like,
Well, yeah. I mean, they're quite different things,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah, they're very different, very different. Yeah,
You know, yeah. I mean, the Connerty thing, that's because in real life, Toby Leonard Moore, the actor, told us somewhere around season 1 or 2 that he had been a hibachi chef. And so when you're creating a show running, you just like kind of keep all that stuff in your back pocket. So we always knew we had to find a way to get him doing that. And so when we were going to be able to bring him back, it just made logical sense. I remember Levine said, I think we can find it. This is the moment we can do the hibachi thing. And then Toby went and refreshed and practiced. And it was incredible to get to see him actually do that thing. But yeah, he's led a remarkable life. And I think when he was putting himself, he's a lawyer in real life. And I think when he was putting himself through law school, he was working a hibachi.
wow, wow, and yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It's totally opposite with Solitary Man because Ben's character, he's definitely fallen from grace. The salesman of the world needs to go back, and the only place to hire him is his old college.
Yeah, I mean, that was from the beginning. I mean, that was like baked into the idea. David and I directed that together. I wrote the script myself, and from the beginning, the idea there was what the local deli means at college. The place that you go to on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and then also like kind of late. There's something about that that's so tied into your memories of those years. And so a guy who's trying to ignore the fact that he's getting older, who's trying to defy sort of mortality, the fact that his old best friend, lived there, worked there, and on top of that, that he also had this feeling about that place, and it would make him feel part of this college environment. It all just kind of made sense. So, yes, you're right. This stuff is very resonant to me, and probably because of my own feelings about those places. I certainly, I know you. Um, I know you know that I wrote about diners for Lucky Peach, and I loved doing that because those places. I mean, part of it is grew up in the Northeast. The school year, most of those months are cold, and school is kind of for everybody. There are definitely parts of the experience of being young and in school that are just sad and challenging and difficult for everyone. And so those moments when it's cold and miserable, you're going through a rough patch for whatever reason, and your friend picks you up and is like, "Hey, should we should we go for me out on Long Island? Should we go to Kings Villa Diner? Should we go to Seacrest? Should we go to Scobie?" And it was like, you think that yeah, they're open all yeah, they're open till 2. That one's open till 4. And you're like, yeah, let's come get me. Let's do it. And you go and you park and you're walking in the freezing cold. And then you walk inside to the noise and that music of those little jukeboxes, like in The Sopranos, right? But these little jukeboxes, and then the chatter behind the counter, and suddenly you take your gloves off, or maybe you don't even have gloves probably on, and your hands start warming up, and you're smelling someone's getting waffles. It's 2 in the morning. I mean, there's just something magical about it, and I think I've just always connected. And what I said about the pizza place your dad and you snuck off to, I mean, that's really true for me. My father really, I think there was a place that had a slice anywhere near where we grew up. He had an opinion about it and wanted to share that with me. And so these things resonate for me, and those kind of sense memory things are really important, I think, to anyone who's any kind of artist. And so, yeah, I feel like, and at college, I mean, I know just where I went sophomore year and junior year where I got to go, and what table what I liked, what sub sandwich I liked to get. And I mean, that stuff, I think, calls memory back and emotion. And I think it's very valuable for artists to kind of track and be aware of it.
Yeah, you wrote about diners, with Lucky Peach. You even in your podcast, The Moment, you do mention from time to time Barry Levinson's diner. I
Oh
mean, that
yeah, one of my
is,
favorite movies of all time.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's also why restaurant fiction is even here for the general public. What makes even that diner, so compelling to you? Did you, all of your Lucky Peach writing, do you even go back to Barry Levinson's diner?
Oh, wait, are you a fan of that movie? Is that what you're saying? Also,
Oh,
that's why,
the
like,
biggest.
informs this podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Fells Point Diner. Absolutely. We break that down very we take that shit very seriously, Brian.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, I still like know what the Earl is, right? And the whole left. Does that include the chicken, right? So yeah, I'm a um that movie goes deep for Levine and me, and I mean, Dave and I have been best friends. We were 14, 15 years old, and I mean, it's everything we were just talking about diners, but that movie has this incredible thing of, despite the loneliness and the sadness of their experience, the way that they come together over fries and gravy, and what it means to show up there at the diner. It's perfect. Levinson wrote and directed a perfect movie. It's a perfect cast, and it's also a movie that changes for you depending on how old you are and depending on kind of what you bring to it. But for me, it's just one of the most. I mean, listen, it's incredibly entertaining. It's also just a very deep film about what it means to try to forge your own identity in a world that's kind of got your identity locked in already. And I think it uses food to tell part of that story, and it uses this sense of community around food to tell part of that story. And whether it's the roast beef scene or stealing a fry off somebody's plate, and as I'm sure for you, even the way that the plates are stacked to be cleaned. I mean, every part of it is perfect, right? And sometimes fries with gravy, I mean, in a diner can suck, right? I mean, from a, just a, they could burn the gravy. There could be too much flour. It could be like all sorts of things could make that go wrong. You're a chef, so you know all the things that can go wrong. But when that is right, it's one of the greatest things you could ever eat.
Well, and even like as a creative moment, I mean, even having those perfect fries and gravy can actually even open you up more. Like instead of like talking to a therapist, bring me the dish that I need right now at this moment. Holy crap, I'm gonna just flood. Here, let's just spew out like because
Yeah, I was. It's funny. I was talking one day to this great chef, Wiley Dufresne, and we were we were talking about what to get at a certain diner, and he said, "Well, if you're alone, get get the cheeseburger because and his point was cheeseburger is good when you're eating it alone by yourself, as opposed to at a table with somebody else where you're putting this thing in your mouth and you're thinking." And he's like, "But eating a cheeseburger alone at a diner counter." And I was like, "Yeah, like I would get it with someone. I get it. There is something so personal and perfect about a cheeseburger at alone at a diner counter with maybe a black and white milkshake. That,
tell me more. Tell me more.
and I do think when you eat a perfect cheeseburger like that, I don't know, you might not act in a very dignified manner that you'd want to with other people there.
Well, plus also, it's almost like you always go on you always talk about say Julie Cameron's book and the morning pages, but really you're now talking about, and for all of our viewers, that's like in a way your artist date. You are just you and the cheeseburger. I'm mindfully, you can even turn off your mindfulness apps and just like, this is my meditation, this is my love letter to
Well,
myself.
I agree. I do love a diner cheeseburger. I'm happy to have a George Mott's cheeseburger too anytime, right? But
Yes, which he's been on Restaurant Fiction.
that's awesome. I mean, that guy's as good as the hype. It's the real deal. I only got to go, I think I've gone twice, and it's both times it was incredible, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
I had I forget what he called, but his version of the patty melt, and it was just spectacular.
Absolutely, yeah. And for those who don't know, yeah, George Motes is like the
Moats, yeah.
hamburger. Yeah, Motes is like the hamburger king of not like America. I mean, he has traveled the world. He has been on First We Feast. He knows the burger like no one's business. When do you and Dave know? Talk about that feeling. Talk about no A and B testing, but talk about when do you and Dave know gut, heart, and mind, body, spirit, when to put the pen down.
Here's a way to speak to that, which is sometimes I'll speak to groups of people who want to do this stuff, and I can always tell I'll mention some movies or I'll mention shows or I'll mention Dizzy Gillespie at Massey Hall or something, and I can see only like one or two people are like jotting it down to go like listen to it or watch it or read it. And I think like if you do this stuff, continue to be engaged with the stuff and with art. You want to watch things and listen to things and go to galleries. Even if you're like, I don't understand art. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the time I don't either. But it's like great to go, you know what I mean? And take stuff in because that's the answer to your question. I went to see this incredible show a bunch of years ago, Edward Hopper at the Whitney, and it was studies. So it was all the pencil drawings that Hopper did before he made his paintings. And it's that kind, like you go and you walk around that and you're like, oh yeah, it's not a miracle. It's also a miracle. So, guy's sense of light is also a miracle, but it's not just a miracle. Even with all that talent, even with that incredible gift, that guy applied this tremendous amount of rigor and thinking and reframing. And like, I don't know, you take all that in. And if Hopper was grinding, I'm going to keep grinding, right? Until I get to that place where it's like, oh, yeah, any further grinding will ruin it. At a certain point, he had to put the drawings down and make the painting. And I think that is also, for most people who make stuff, it's mostly instinct.
What question am I not asking you?
Well, you're really good at this, and you've been very thorough. I think the only thing that you didn't ask, and to me it's important, is like if there were no ramifications to my to like training or diet, what I would have for breakfast.
Boom! Let's do it.
And I would have uh, a, a short stack. I don't know if your version of a short stack is two or three, but I would have a short stack and three sunny side up eggs and bacon. And then I'd pour syrup over the whole damn thing.
Ooh. Damn, cup of Joe? Cup of
Yeah,
coffee?
black coffee. Because, well, yeah, I always drink black coffee, but there's nothing better than black coffee when you got maple syrup sweet.
And guys, that was our conversation with Brian. Brian, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are still pinching ourselves that you brought your A game. You always bring your A game. Whether, like I said, whether it's on the moment, whether when we are watching as an audience member, whether we're watching your movie Solitary Man, whether we're watching your show Billions, whether we're watching all of the abundant credits you have. Go on IMDb and check out every single one. You will be astonished. I kid you not. But anyway, we thank you. Also, just a personal note, we and anyone listening, anyone watching, Brian is an advocate to the morning pages. We do them every single day, and it is transforming. All you have to do the first 30 minutes when you get up, and obviously, if you have to do your number one or number two, get that out of the way. But when you are still groggy, you do uninterrupted, uncensored writing to yourself in your favorite journal with your favorite pencil, your favorite pen, and just write about anything and nothing at the same time, and it is fantastic. He talks about it all the time on his podcast with his children, with his wife, with his guests, with even Tim Ferriss. Yeah. So we thank you. We thank you for that. Watch also Brian's favorite films. Watch Barry Levinson's Diner. It's one of the most, or probably the most significant fictional restaurant of all time. We covered it before. We'll probably cover it again, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, the in-between time, keep it fresh, keep it real, and always keep on the flip side.